Hello, welcome to Tail 3 Cabins. I'm heading over to a freight office. I'm going to pick up an attachment for my brush crusher, the upper and lower teeth that go with it. So I was going to have it delivered, but the scheduling just wasn't right, so I'm just getting off work and I'm just going to go pick it up.
Well, that went quick. Dropped off really easy. Gonna cover her up and take her home and get her unloaded. So I'm gonna call these dentures uppers and lowers for the brush crusher that I have. And it's gonna kind of bridge the gap between the two sides of it and make it more in tune as a grapple. So from the time that I ordered it to the time that I picked it up was about a week. I could have waited for them to actually deliver it via truck locally, but that would have been another week wait to schedule a delivery. The lower part was pretty easy to manage, and I put it on my scale here, and it gave me about 40, I'm going to say 40 pounds because I have a little plank underneath it. The uppers are a little heavier, I'd say maybe about 80 pounds. Currently the brush crusher comes with a stabilizer bar in between the two, but I'm going to remove that so I can put those teeth in. So that's going to offset some of the weight, maybe about 25 pounds. So I'm guessing altogether that these teeth are going to add about 90 pounds. So it's probably easiest just to have it attached to put on these teeth. And I'm going to try to use the hydraulics to help me out. First thing I'm going to do here is just take that stabilizer bar off that I mentioned. And this will be the top teeth that should be easiest to go on first. And I'm going to kind of use a little work stand here, try to get the hydraulics lined up, and all I really need to do is just get one bolt in there, and then I can kind of pivot it to get the rest in. So you're going to use the same bolts that you use to take off that stabilizer bar. It's hard to tell if this gap is just created by a slight bend in the metal or if it's just the way it is, but once I tighten the bolts it's going to come together. Okay, so that's the top set, and since the bottom is hinged, it's a little easier to kind of extend my work area here and put this little plank back down. The bottom dentures was a little bit of a tight fit, but I got the rubber mallet out and was able to pound it in position, and once I got the bolts in, everything lined up good. Now one of the bolts they sent me was a little shorter than all the rest, and it was not going to work with the washers on there, so I temporarily used it. I called the company, actually I emailed the company, and they responded the same day and were shipping out another bolt for me. Just wrapping up the last bit here. I used that short bolt but without the washers on there, so just temporary so I can give it a little test. This is where these dentures are going to help solve some of the shortcomings of the brush crusher. So I couldn't have lifted this up earlier. I probably could have did it with one side, but then my load's a little off balance. And if it's going to be a very heavy object, it could possibly bend the loader arms, or you could tip over to one side if you hit the right bump. Now this I couldn't have done if I didn't have these teeth on there, and I'm always a little gentle on the hydraulics when I'm adding pressure, because I don't want to add too much pressure. I don't want to bend anything or break anything, and I try to just manipulate it enough that I can lift it, and if I can't, then I'll add a little bit more pressure. This was a good sized stump that I dug out a while back, and it was kind of in a precarious position. You can't see, but near my driver's side rear tire is a good mound of dirt. So I'm kind of like wedged in here, and I can't get a good bite on it until I can kind of move it to the side a little bit. So I got to work at it going back and forth. Now this was a remnants of a tree that fell against some electrical wires close to the street by me, and I couldn't cut it down because it was leaning right on top of the primary line, so I had to call the electric company, and they chopped it up in about 3 good sized pieces. That tree just to my left is really close to the left loader arm, so I can't get in there. I was kind of lazy. I didn't cut all the branches off for this, and I'm just seeing if I could get it out. I messed with it for a little while and then realized that I'm just going to have to reposition and see if I could drag it out by just kind of getting the 2 tips of the teeth and pull it out, and then reposition again and lift it up. Well, after using this for a little bit, I couldn't see why you would want to take the upper and lower dentures off. And then it came to me, if I was carrying a tree like this and maybe it's a lot heavier, maybe I'd want to lighten the load of this brush crusher by taking those teeth off, because I really don't need the center part for a large tree like this. Now I don't know if Wessendorf is going to make it like a package deal and kind of cheapen this. Right now these extra teeth are probably around 450 bucks, somewhere in there. And if you take the regular price of the brush crusher with it, which is somewhere around $1,300, you're getting close to what a regular grapple, maybe like a Wicked grapple, would cost, minus the diverter kit for the hydraulics. But lifting these shorter stumps is going to help me out a lot, because I have a habit of cutting down a very large tree and I start making firewood out of it, cutting it up, and then something happens where I can't finish the last part of the job, and sometimes I got some leftover wood that's been just sitting in my yard for a while and is no longer good for firewood, so I can at least gather all these up now and just burn them. Here's an example where I just picked up about 3 of these in the woods, put them together, and now I can just take them as a group over to my fire pit. All right, so that's a look at the Wessendorf brush crusher, new dentures, uppers and lowers. So it's going to help a little bit. It's going to help with the smaller items or keeping things from being lopsided, like grabbing those boulders, grabbing multiple pieces of wood. It's going to bring it more towards what a true grapple would be doing. It's probably still not as effective as if I were to buy a dedicated grapple, but it's going to definitely help. It's going to be another tool in the toolbox, but for the most part, I'll be leaving them on. Um, if you have wider items that you're working with, well, you don't need the stuff in between. You don't need these teeth. But me, it's going to help me. It's going to help out. So that's just a quick review, quick overview, and I appreciate you watching. Hope you subscribe and keep an eye on this.